We're entering a new transformation, the fourth transformation of the personal computer age. It's a new user interface that's coming to us. It's the fourth one of my career. We first got off of mainframes and microcomputers and into the personal computers back in 1977. And we controlled that computer with a character mode window that we typed commands to. And when the Macintosh and later Windows came along, we switched to using menus and mice and the GUI. And then later we got into the mobile world and we were carrying our computer in our hand, and that was a huge shift. But it really became important when touch came along and changed the user interface. That was the third transformation. And this fourth transformation is spatial computing. It puts the user interface on top of the real world. It's a real deep change in user interface, human-machine interface. At each point when you see a new user interface come along, big companies go away. When we went to Windows and the Macintosh, Borland and WordPerfect were dramatically important companies of the day, and they went away fast. When we went to touch, Nokia and BlackBerry are gone for all intents and purposes. And this next interface change will reconfigure our industry similarly. So let's dive into some of the things I'm seeing around the world. First, I work at Upload VR. This is our green room. We have a training space and a co-working space where 30 companies are building things from haptic suits to cameras to to games to journalism. All sorts of stuff is happening. The first HoloLens hackathon was in my office. Philip Rosedale launched his new company in my office, and we do lots of things. It's fun. I know that this new interface is going to be big because the kids love it and they don't stop playing it when you have VR in your house, which very few of you probably do, but you should get it in your house so you understand what's coming and why it's so deeply important. Soon, this year, Google is bringing out a new kind of phone with new sensors on it. These sensors from Google are called Tango sensors, and on Apple's side, they bought a company called PrimeSense. These sensors do remarkable things and are going to bring new imaging technologies to all of us. And let's just understand a little bit about what I'm talking about. This is the Lenovo phone that's coming out in October. It has sensors on the back that map out the world in 3D and build a point cloud of it and build a polygon mat on all the surfaces, which you can then lay virtual items on top of. And that's what you're seeing here. So you notice you can lay virtual things on top of real things. And you can make new kinds of experiences and new kinds of photo sharing things and new kinds of games, new kinds of education that's on top of the real world. And you're getting a little taste of that this year in the Lenovo phone. But this technology really is going to become very important in 2 to 4 years, probably, from what I'm hearing inside the industry, 2 years away when you get mixed reality glasses. And I'll explain why in a second. But I wanted you to understand what the primitives are of the Tango sensor so that you can understand how it works. Because if I was explaining Windows 95 to you back in 1994, I would explain mouse move messages and DLLs and how the thing works and how you would talk to it as a developer. But this is from the Z camera, and they use 2 cameras to build this point cloud and then lay polygons on top of all the surfaces. This is how the HoloLens works. This is how Tango works. This is how Apple's thing next year will work. And it's bringing a world that looks like this, where we are going to mix reality. We are going to put virtual things into our real world, and we're going to do wondrous things with that. And this is old VR. This is old AR. This is Vuforia that Qualcomm developed years ago. I saw this 5 years ago. But we're going to bring these kinds of experiences to everybody soon. And we're going to want to capture things in new ways, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This man is Roni. He is the founder of Magic Leap. And if you haven't heard of Magic Leap, it's a company that got $1.3 billion of investment without having a product and without having a customer. And what he has built is optics that basically take light out of the air, so turn you black, or make your brain think it's black, which is another cool trick that he's playing. And he puts virtual things on top of you, or replaces you, right? Just the same way that I showed you. So when you look through the Magic Leap optic, you see virtual things rolling around the real world, like these two drones that are droids from Star Wars. And notice that they're properly occluded by the table. There's a table over here. Notice it's properly behind the table. And notice the virtual images it puts on top of the real world are properly aligned to surfaces that are in your space, right? I could put a virtual thing on top of this one. And this is mixed reality, because it's virtual mixing with reality. And it's quite wondrous. Why would you want to do such a thing? Well, let's take a little look at a developer who's building a virtual door, and let's listen to him.
There we go. So now you can see there's actually a world in there that it's showing me. Hey guys, it's Paul. I'm here with the Hollow Herald again today for what we're going to kind of consider an app preview. So this app's not big enough to really do a review. It's just kind of cool idea that someone did with the technology, kind of to give you guys an idea of what you can do with the technology. So I'm just going to bloom. Then I'm going to open up. It's called Doco Demo Teleportation.
Bloom is how you
really
gesture to the system and open up a new menu. If you played with HoloLens, you learn that right away.
Unity, much like everything with HoloLens right now. Okay, so you can kind of hear it. It's pretty loud music. So I'm going to say Play Store. So
you can see the polygons underneath. This is how the image system works to put things down.
So now it's on the ground. It's a little short door, but it's pretty cool. So now we're just going to say open door. Open the door. Come on. There we go. So now you can see there's actually a world in there that it's showing me. So I'm going to get in there. And yeah, it's just like a cool little world someone made in Unity, where if you walk through that door that I just walked through, right there, you can see it's kind of like just showing what you can do with augmented reality. This is really mixed reality. It's pretty cool. In my opinion, this will kill, once the graphics on this stuff gets better, this will kill VR. And it's just incredible, because really good AR will definitely beat VR. So, I don't know, it's just a really cool little app that kind of shows the capabilities. So now, after we're done looking around, I'm just going to head on out. And yeah, let's do that. I'm walking through the terrain kind of here, but you get the idea. Then walk out the door, no holograms, turn around, close the door. Close door. There we go, door's closed. And yeah, thanks for checking it out.
So mixed reality, these glasses that are coming are actually 6 technologies all evolving at one time, and that's why it's so difficult to gauge when it's going to hit. But all the trend lines, when I go to R&D labs and talk to people who are building the pieces of this technology, say it's coming faster than we expect. And I think Pokemon sped it up. It's 6 things. It's optics that take light out of the air and put virtual light into your eye and put these things on top of your thing. It's high-speed networking. Huawei, who makes half the cell towers in the world, say LTE 5 is coming, and it's coming in 2020 to 2022, depending where you live in the world. It's eye tracking. It's watching where you look, so it can do wondrous new compression technology called foveated rendering, but it also does all sorts of magic new things. Like if I look at your badge too long, it'll pop a menu off of it and maybe bring your LinkedIn. There's a reason Microsoft bought LinkedIn for this new world. It's room tracking. On the front of your HoloLens, your Magic Leap, or whatever is coming, there's going to be sensors that map out the world in real time and see it in depth and capture things in depth. And we can capture you and put you on Sketchpad, right? A site where you can share 3D objects. It's augmented audio, and nobody's expecting this. Everybody expects the video because we've seen these videos on YouTube already, and we know what's coming here. But I got two little headphones from Doppler Labs at Coachella, and you have $2 million worth of audio equipment at Coachella. It's a big music festival. It's the best one of the best in the world, if not the best. And you put these headphones in, and the audio sounds better with a $200 pair of headphones than it did with $2 million worth of speakers aimed at your head. Because there's microphones, there's processing, and there's speakers in the headphones that are taking noise out of the air, doing all sorts of fun noise canceling. Put your music into the cathedral across the river here, or put it into a sports stadium, or a different kind of building. You can turn up the volume or down the volume. You can turn up the bass or the treble. This is why Apple got rid of a headphone jack. They're moving toward this system where they can put processing in our headphone, and they can do things for us, like translate from Chinese to English in real time while I'm talking to somebody. This augmented audio I think, is going to catch a lot of people unaware, but it's coming too. And then the system is going to categorize everything it sees. It knows that this is a lectern, and this is a stage, and that's a floor, and that, right? It's going to learn over time. Artificial intelligence is going to be big in this world. And let's just talk about one of these technologies and visit one of these innovators who's building this stuff. This guy runs iFluence, and let's watch what he's doing with his eyes. He's built eye sensors for the mixed reality world. But watch over on the screen what his eyes are doing.
If I want to, I can change pages. Here's another a close-up of some electronics in our office.
If you could turn up the audio, that'd be great.
Over here is a medical application, and I'm gonna
All with your eyes.
All with my eyes. So I'm doing this solely with my eyes as fast as I can look. I'm not waiting. I'm not winking. I'm just looking. And here I've got the patient. I've got some allergy record, protocols, insurance, confidential information, current conditions. Why is he here? Well, he tells me he's got a pain in his foot. Notice I'm looking at this, but there's nothing happening on the screen. But when I decide, for instance, that I want to check out his x-ray, there it is. And now I want to go back because a couple screens ago there was some confidential information, which is here. And now it's going to take a picture of my eye. It grabs it, says, oh, who is that? Confirms that it's me. And in a moment, you'll see that it'll give me access. I'm Jim, head of CEO and founder of iFluence. And there it is. I've got confidential information. When I want to, I can return home as fast as that.
That's amazing.
All with my eyes.
That's amazing.
These are the sensors, so you can see they're a real product. They're coming soon. You don't get to this stage of product if it's not coming soon. Let's talk about what this world might feel like if you're capturing actors and bringing people into this virtual hologram world, and let's study what it does.
ActionGram is an app that allows you to bring holograms into the real world and create and share videos.
Being able to incorporate visual effects into live action right there on set is a lot of fun and gets your brain going.
It's great to work with holograms in the first place. That's already cool, but the fact that there are these iconic characters makes it even cooler.
I'm going to start to say and say, roll cameras, roll sound. You know, you want to kind of direct your performances. Action!
Welcome to HoloLens. Oh my.
There's several companies building these holographic capture systems. 8i is one of them. Microsoft is another. It's 40 cameras surrounding the actor.
So go ahead and have a seat.
Wait on your head.
And I see somebody there in an orange sweater.
Uh-oh.
That's me. This is fascinating.
We talked about holograms on Star Trek, and to actually be doing that in reality today, it was a lot of fun. Technology and being a part of it at the cutting edge is a thrill that very few human beings get.
So it was really fun creating videos with the George Takei holograms because he's just hilarious.
Oh, no, she didn't.
You'd get this like really high bar of talent that you normally wouldn't get to work with.
Love that.
It's not every day that you get a chance to work with George Takei.
Live action holograms that are three-dimensional and function within your actual three-dimensional space was mind-blowing.
I think it's a really exciting time for video creation and storytelling.
Today, to do this kind of capture costs $25,000 for 5 minutes in that cylinder of cameras because of the cloud computing and the GPUs needed to join all the images from all the cameras to make this kind of point cloud of holographic imagery. Soon your glasses are going to do a form of that. It'll be a little bit not quite real, and we'll work on that as an industry, right? But I remember when Steve Wozniak showed me his dye sublimation color printer, the first one in Silicon Valley, and he spent $45,000 on that. And today a $70 printer does a better job. And I remember when he had a 400 megabyte RAM drive that also costs around $40,000. And today we can get an SD card with how much terabytes on it, right? It's a crazy world we built. Marketers are going to love this and already are. They're already building VR experiences, and they're building the products in VR. Ford has an R&D lab in Silicon Valley, and the lab is VR. They design cars and test them out in VR. Disney's new theme park in Shanghai, China was built in VR, and they saved millions of dollars by doing that. But the marketers are using VR to bring you into a new world and bring a high touch with the brands. Absolute Vodka did a music concert using VR, using 360-degree cameras, live streaming. And they said the average time spent in a Google Cardboard version of their app was 19 minutes. And they said for the money that they spent per customer to do that, it was an extraordinary success. And I've heard of other such success stories as well coming out. Snapchat's head of strategy, when I asked him what he did with this guy, because I haven't seen this guy for 2 years because the company got bought by Snapchat, he built this company called Epiphany Eyewear, told me that we are going to see a Snapchat connected camera this year. Now this year is running out. So maybe it's CES next year, I don't know, but it's coming soon. And this camera 2 years ago was a 1080p camera in the sunglass frame with a Wi-Fi radio that you can see on your phone. That was 2 years ago. I figure in 2 years he's shrunk it down to a sugar cube. We'll see how true that is, but I think I'm getting there. That you can put on your hat or in your clothes or on your glasses. And you can see the augmented reality from this camera and capture your life in a new way, and there might be a screen involved. That's what we're waiting to see. What does this thing show you when you put on the glasses? This was the prototype. You can see the motherboard in the camera in the sunglass frame, so you can see they're getting pretty good at building things very small. What does it mean for all sorts of industries, from shopping to art to music to football? Well, let's listen in on what the NFL says about VR, and then I'll run another video where we talk about Internet of Things and why it's so important to this world as well.
You're sitting next to your favorite player, you look to your right and you see them, and you look ahead and the coach is there firing up the team. The seat at the 50-yard line in the first or second row, that might go for around $1,000 a ticket. But what you could also do is sell that same seat for $10 a ticket to 100,000 people.
You can create an avatar of your friend and they'll be in that experience with you, but it's their real voice and it's the real movement.
When VR is done well, there's no technology. There's no gadgets. It's not about pixels or refresh rate. It's an experience. There's complete mental transportation. You forget that you're even wearing the helmet. You are just mentally transported somewhere else. I do believe fans will be able to put on the head-mounted display and have a highlight reel and get to experience a play and feel what it's like to be someone else for a minute. We like to say the brain has not yet evolved to differentiate a compelling virtual reality experience from a physical one.
Soon this fantasy will be in households across the globe. Will it change the way people interact? The way people watch football? Will virtual reality change the world for the better?
So right now people are watching sports on a screen, but VR turns that screen into the world all around them.
What you can see in the stadium potentially could be what you see in your living room through a hologram.
This is NFL Next.
And let's see why Internet of Things is changing this world and is going to take us to places that Ansel Adams never dreamed about.
Statistical analysis and data collection have become commonplace in sports like baseball. Technology is driving new types of data collection and consumption, creating new possibilities for all sports. In football, we call this next-gen stats.
We've always thought about football in a three-dimensional sense. In the future, there's a fourth dimension that we see. That dimension is information.
We're in the initial stages of what we like to say is revolutionizing the game. Player tracking is going to bring new insights to the game never seen or never even imagined.
Possibilities for the NFL's future are endless, and they begin with next-gen stats. This is NFL Next.
Those of you that have been here before know that we like to open our meetings with a little icebreaker. HSAC is a club that pursues the quantitative analysis of sports strategy and management.
As Harvard students, we're not going to be the ones providing the best qualitative analysis, but we can try to answer some quantitative questions.
We're in discussions with the New York Giants about real-time data. Stats and sports actually go very well together. Taking a more statistical approach can lead to gains of 5, 10, 15%. They have these computer chips in their physical pads. Through this, you can measure things like acceleration, deceleration, things like that.
In order to understand the meaning of next-gen stats, we need to understand how and what kind of data we are collecting. The NFL, along with Zebra, are at the forefront of this revolutionary technology.
Every player has 2 tags on them, one in each shoulder pad. 12 to 15 times a second, those tags on the player's shoulders are blinking. The sensors in the stadium are looking for those blinks, and as they see them, they calculate the position of the player by the number of receivers that see each of the tags. The stats that people are used to consuming for football, yards gained, yards passing, those are really scratching the surface of what a player does during the game. So next-gen stats is meant to measure all the other things. It's how far a player runs, how fast they run, how fast are they running compared to earlier in the game, earlier in their career, earlier in that season.
We're looking at a whole new future that largely centers around data. In the manner of printing the ball in the future, you'll be able to integrate microcircuitry to monitor the statistics and help an athlete understand his performance better by measuring spiral quality, measure things like throwing velocity and how well he throws a football, or even the timing sequence of him throwing a football. Data becomes a part of our lives, and being able to measure things that are going on with the technique of the athlete, feed that information back to him, is a fourth dimension that we see as a huge area for innovation for us, for a company.
So what does all this data mean? Many tech companies are hoping it means new ways to exploit and enhance the game viewing experience.
The way we integrate next-gen stats into the broadcast is basically by following along the storylines of the game.
Giants in Washington getting set to start on Thursday Night Football.
We look to find big-time gains with running backs or wide receivers. We look to say separation between defensive backs and wide receivers.
Manning back to throw, steps up, deep ball. Odell Beckham Jr. on the post.
Now someone can say, is 22 miles an hour fast? You bet it is. It's #1 in the league this week.
Jumps up, makes the catch, touchdown Giants!
In addition to CBS, Microsoft has been using the NFL's next-gen stats data in an even more unique way.
What really got us excited about working with the NFL was
trying to figure out ways where Microsoft's technology could kind of take the NFL experience to the next level. With one button press, I am now going to get the next-gen view. You kind of get that moment of like, hey, this looks like a game of Madden. But then you realize when watching the video highlight that they're tied and they're directly synced. We're getting all this data real time. We actually kind of have a tachometer where we can see his speed during the play, and then we'll actually stamp where he hit the top speed. He's probably in one of our top playmakers this week. I absolutely think these next-gen stats they're going to change everything.
We're starting to see things in a new light, and the whole explosion of data and information that's being created.
Tracking data is certainly the future of any professional sport.
There can always be technology added to the NFL, and the cool thing about that is sometimes you don't even know what's coming.
We're still exploring how to best utilize it, but I think we're giving fans a better perspective with these data points.
At all times, I can look over to the right and I can see that play with a 3D representation of the play on my coffee table. I mean, that takes the game to a whole nother level.
Technology continues to provide new data and new ways to exploit it. We will soon see how this will affect coaching, players, and outcomes for professional sports. Next-gen stats and statistical analysis are here to stay.
The football stadium I go to has 2,000 beacons already. It tracks you from the time you enter the stadium. And to a lot of people, that's really scary. One guy in one of my talks said, I'm turning off the Bluetooth. And I said, you're not going to turn off the Bluetooth because you're not going to get in the stadium sooner or later. You're not going to get hot dogs delivered to you the way they do in my stadium. And it doesn't put a nice blue line on the floor telling you how to find the bathroom with the shortest line, because there's already a sensor on the bathroom line areas to know how long the line is, and the computer already tells you that on your mobile phone. And if you think this stuff is just coming to sports and it's just in the future, you're wrong. Period. This is coming to everything. Every shopping mall, every museum, every tourist trap, everything. It's going to change a lot of things about our lives. It's already changing how we work. When you go to Caterpillar, they put these glasses on you already, and they teach you how to fix a tractor that costs $1 million, or run a mine where there's multiple pieces of equipment and lots of people dealing with a new supply chain of minerals. This stuff is already happening. If you're at Boeing, you're learning how to fix jet airplanes using this technology. So there's a good community of people who are learning to put virtual things on top of the real world and make our education better. This is the most powerful education technology we have ever invented. Think about, you want to learn anything. Do you want to watch it on YouTube on a flat monitor? Or do you want Anthony Bourdain teaching you how to make a meal right on your kitchen counter, pointing at things? We soon are going to be wearing devices like this. Today they're big and ugly and dorky. Tomorrow we know this industry shrinks things and makes them cheap. This has happened to us before. And soon we're going to be working in retail stores with these, and we're going to be working in our homes, and we're going to be driving our cars with these on. If you think the car industry isn't playing with this stuff, you're nuts. You're soon going to be sitting in a car, and the car is going to disappear. How do I know this? Because if you're an F-35 pilot, one of the pilots told me that's how his augmented reality system works, and the kids who built it have graduated from the military and are bringing this to consumers. Here you're seeing an architect work in a new way and design a new kind of building, mixing realities with virtual items, and it's a lot cheaper. Like I said, Disney already designs its theme parks this way. Soon we're going to be learning all sorts of wondrous things, including what Pokemon taught us, which is how to exercise again. We're going to have our kids learn on stages like this one, splitting up all sorts of things. I'm learning all sorts of things visually, which is how I learn things I couldn't learn from a book. I talked with the guy at JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who built the Mars scenery that Microsoft used. And he says it's cooler than what you saw at TED this year already. We are building a new social world. When Mark Zuckerberg says this is the most social media that he's encountered, I wanted to give you a little taste of that and do it with a photographic kind of background. So let's watch Facebook announce Social VR, its new Toy Box app, at its conference a few months ago.
See how easy that was to get? Hey, Mike, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Shrep, how you doing? Sorry I couldn't make it up to F8. I'm down here at Facebook HQ.
That's great. You want to say hi to everyone here at F8?
Hey, everybody at F8. Good to see you, virtually.
All right, what do we got here?
Well, we're standing in a sort of VR test bed that we put together to test various experiments that we've put together to see how can interact together in VR.
Right.
Now, let me show you a couple here.
Okay.
So this is a 360 photo, like you were just talking about.
Yep.
But it's in a sphere. So why don't you grab that and slide it right onto your face.
Whoa!
There we go. Welcome to St. Pancras Station, London.
Whoa. This is
We can go here together.
Yeah. Whoa, check out that clock. That's a really sweet clock. I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, it's a fancy clock made by the Dent company. They've been doing that for like 300 years. Same clock as in Big Ben.
Yeah, okay.
Let's keep going. Let's try someplace else here in London. How about Piccadilly Circus?
You know, why do they call it a circus?
Yeah, not so much in the way of elephants and clowns. They call it a circus because it's a circle of buildings. Circle. Yeah.
Hey, it's one of those double-decker buses. That's pretty sweet.
Check that out.
Yeah. This is really amazing. This is awesome. Okay. Hey, wait. I recognize this. This is a place you can't otherwise easily get to. This is Aquila.
Whoa!
The plane you're looking at is going to bring us high-speed wireless network for very little cost. It's a big breakthrough, and it's amazing.
We've got 2 engine pods. Right here he's working on a propeller that would go on the electric engine in that pod. We can put a communications bay in the middle here, and then we've got another 2 engine pods. This thing's just massive, isn't it?
It's amazing. I had no idea it was so huge, and what's really cool is I've never been here, so I feel like you've taken me to like your secret lab. Ridiculous. Yeah, one more place to show you.
Okay.
So let's take a look at this here. Let's try that.
Okay, that looks like Big Ben to me.
And there's Big Ben. Yeah, House of Parliament.
Yeah.
Behind you is the London Eye.
Where is that? Oh, there it is, right back there, the London Eye. That's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. Cool. Hey, they're getting a selfie in front of Big Ben.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I never really got a selfie in front of Big Ben before.
I may have a solution for that. Another experiment we've been trying is the virtual selfie.
All right. Hey, you got this sweet avatar, and I'm just like the Blue Band group over here. What's going on?
Well, so using these, another experiment here, these pins, you can draw on your avatar and customize yourself, but we've already prepared one for you.
Ah, perfect. So I just put this on?
Yeah, slip it on like a mask.
Whoop! All right, let's do this. Woohoo! Selfie!
No, wait, I think we need one more thing.
Wait.
Hold on 1 second here.
Okay.
Let's do this. Like this. So let me pull this in a little bit, like that. Right. Okay, and one more detail here.
Right.
Oh. What do you think?
Oh, it's great. Can I put that on?
Yeah, hold still.
All right.
There you go.
Okay. What do we got? Oh, sweet. Although, you know, if this is a formal occasion, I think we need to hook you up too. So let's,
cool. All right.
Not a pencil, not yellow. Let's go with red bow tie. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think, Mr. Booth?
That sounds classy. I like it.
Yes. Class this photo up a little bit. All right. Get rid of that. All right. Hold still, please. Perfect. All right. Now we can do this, right?
All right. Good
big band selfie here.
Selfies.
Woo! Everybody here. All right.
Yeah, the photo just took. They're right there on the table.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
check it out. And nailed bunny ears. Got that one? That one's pretty good.
Nice bunny
That
ears.
one down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that one as much.
No, good.
I don't really like that one either. How about this one? Can we get this on Facebook?
Yeah, you know, you can post that directly to your wall. Just drop it in this Facebook post office box.
Right here?
This is social VR. Already today, if you have an HTC Vive, you can play tennis, ping pong, shoot zombies, play basketball, shoot archery, shoot shotguns with your friends. Coming in December, you can jump off of ski jumps with your friends, and more is coming. Think about what our industry is going to build in the next few years in terms of photo sharing and photo imagery experiences this way, where I can just pass something to you. If you have a Vive, I can already play Frisbee with you over the internet, and it works. How many people have a Vive in here? Yeah. Am I saying anything incorrect? No. We're going to play with each other in a new way. And that gives me a wrap up to this, and we can have a panel discussion. We're going to build new spatial computing devices that are going to mix our reality, that are going to change our reality and let us capture the world in a new way, a way that we could never have dreamed of a few years ago, a way with all sorts of wondrous things. You can look at the sky and tell it, I want to see the sky as the Hubble telescope does, and it'll just replace itself. And I'd like to end this just by letting you watch somebody play Frisbee in virtual reality. The way the brands are going to build is in virtual reality because the techniques and the software teams and the relationships with the industry are going to be built in VR. The real money, yes, is coming in AR in a couple, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But it's going to be those people who get a Vive today and are playing around and are innovating and coming up with new wondrous things for us to play that are going to matter soon. Soon, certainly by the end of next year, we're going to get a mobile phone that solves a lot of the problems that the Vive solves for us, right? The Vive, the HTC Vive, you need 2 little boxes on the wall. You need a PC with a big NVIDIA card. It's about $2,500 to buy it. And you have to convince your wife to put nerdy stuff on the house, right? Which isn't always easy. In a near future, our phones are going to have these sensors from Prime Sensor Tango on them, and they're going to know where they are in space. So they're going to be able to get 6 degrees of freedom. Today, the Samsung Gear VR doesn't have that. You can't walk around an object. Tomorrow, you're going to get much better screen resolution. Today's iPhone only has a 1K screen. You need about a 4K screen, and those are coming. They're already coming to Android phones. So next year, we're going to get, and I can see Tim Cook coming out and having a fun announcement where he says, this is the iPhone 8. It has an edge-to-edge screen. That gives you 30% more pixels. Let's look on the screen what that means. And you'll see a demo of it compared to the Samsung. And the GPU is already in the iPhone 10 times faster than the GPU in the Huawei phone. Huawei's the number 3 manufacturer. So I can see where things are going, that Apple is going to show us a new mobile phone next year with VR that has eye sensors and foveated rendering, so the cheap GPU in there can do its job because it doesn't have to uncompress all the polygons. And on and on. Next year's VR, the year after, I think we're going to see Magic Leap and HoloLens and others come into the market, or at least uncloak and explain what they're doing. And 5 years from now, our entire world is going to be flipped. Your car, you're going to expect this in the car. You're going to expect this in a museum. You're going to expect this when you go to NASCAR and see Danica Patrick going around the track. You're going to want to see where she is. You're going to want to see all the data coming off her car because she has all the sensors that football players have and more. And you're going to want to see all the video streams or photographs that are being popped up right now, right? Why can't I look at this audience and see if anybody has tweeted right now or Instagrammed or whatnot? So thank you so much for giving me the honor of presenting this world to you a little bit and talking to you about it. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to what you guys are going to build in the next few years, because it's going to be an incredible time for our industry. Thank you.